Okay, so it's April 29th, and I'm heading back up the Bruce Peninsula. So last weekend I had to turn around on a hike up there, and it hasn't sat well with me. I know I did the right thing. Conditions were bad on the trail. You know, way more snow on the trail than I expected, and just with the steep conditions, and you know, the snow was melting, so it was slush, and my feet were falling into crevices, and you know, it was quite dangerous, you know, and so it was really slow going. And then, you know, on top of that, the filming slowed me down a lot as well. Yeah, anyway, I had to make the decision to call it quits when I realized that there was no way I'd get to a designated campsite. So now I know I did the right thing, you know, like there's no reason to, you know, take unnecessary risks. But, you know, like I've been thinking about it. I don't know if it's, you know, I don't feel like I'm competitive by nature. I must be, you know, or there's something. I don't feel like I need to compete with other people, but it's more competition against myself. So, yeah, it just hasn't sat right with me having to turn around and give up. I knew it was the right thing to do. I'm okay with that, but it's the not getting to the destination. That's the bit that doesn't sit right. So it's like, I don't know, it's, you know, it probably sounds silly, you know, I can compare it to climbing Everest. You know, if you went to climb Everest and didn't make it to the top, it wouldn't sit right with you. You'd want to get back there and try again. Well, it's the same with me for, you know, everything, you know. I'm okay with, you know, giving up when I need to, but I need to get back out on the trail. So yeah, so I'm heading back up. It's an hour drive to get to Lion's Head, and then the parking for the trail at that section is just probably 5-10 minutes north of Lion's Head there. So yeah, so here we go. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. You too. Okay, so I'm here at the trailhead, the parking lot up here just north of Lion's Head, just about to hike in. I've taken a bit of time, probably too much, but I've taken a bit of time just having a look around to see what the snow level is like just around here. In the trees, it is pretty thick still, but the trail, you know, for the first whatever 10 minutes in is relatively clear. So I'm gonna get going, but yeah, I guess you know, I've already done some filming and had a few delays, and that was a big issue last time, is how much time it took me to hike in. So I've decided I'm not going to film the start of the trail. I've done that before, but I'm going to hike in and we'll get to the first lookout and we'll take it from there. Okay, get going. Okay, so changed my mind. I normally don't do like point of view camera angles. I don't really like them, but I decided that I could probably do a little filming while hiking in, as long as I pay attention to where I'm going and film while I move. So point of view it is. So trail conditions are pretty good, actually. It's funny, I said as long as I do it while I'm moving. I'm gonna pan the camera just so that you see. Okay, so you can see there's still a lot of white stuff out there, but the main trail has been walked on, I guess, enough to help break up the snow, as well as I would imagine the trail maintenance has something to do with it as well. So yeah, so what am I bringing with me today? Well, I don't know if I'll regret it, but I have a larger pack. So I have been packing 45-liter bag, and this time I've packed in a 65. So there is definitely more weight, but a big thing for me is to be able to create better videos, and I have some really good camera equipment, and it just wouldn't fit in the 45-liter bag. So I decided larger bag, bring better equipment, no excuse not to have a mic, and a few other things. And so then I can spend more time, you know, being more creative out here, hopefully producing better videos, and hopefully you guys like it. And then also just for myself, it'll be a lot more satisfying, I think. So anyhow, I'm gonna keep hiking, and I was thinking it'll be interesting to see that big crevice that I fell in. I've actually noticed a few of the others that it's crazy how many there were out at the start of the trail, and you know, up to now, that I didn't even notice last time. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see that big deep crevice that I crashed through last time, see what the terrain actually looks like. The snow will probably be gone, so yeah, we'll have a look when we get there. Wow, eh? So this is the crevice here. That's the pointy rock that, yeah, I nearly fell on. And that's the deep hole. Even looking this way, it's such a difference. It's amazing. Okay, well, I made it to the lookout. So the last time I hiked in, I hiked about half an hour further, and then I had to turn around. So trail conditions are way better. It's taken me about, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour to get here, and I'm about a quarter of the way. So I'm gonna keep hiking in, and I figure we'll see how far I get. But as it is right now, you know, if I'm a quarter of the way, if the hike takes 4 hours, then I should be able to get there by, you know, 3 or 4 o'clock. And like really 6 o'clock at the worst. You know, I'm dedicated to getting there, but if I find that it's still crappy on the trail further, then I'll have to turn around again. But right now I'm pretty optimistic about it all. Beautiful day though, eh? Look at that. Okay, so a minute ago I passed where I basically called it quits the last time I was on the trail. And yeah, let me just stop for a second. And the conditions are good enough. You can see behind me, right? Still some snow, but the main trail is clear. I'm just gonna pan so you can see in front here. So there is some snow, as you can see. That's the trail, but yeah, it clears up. So yeah, so I'm gonna keep going. I had to look at the map, had to look at the time. I haven't been on the trail for 2 hours. It's almost 2 hours, but hasn't been 2 hours yet. And interesting thing is that when I looked at the map, it actually looks like I'm closer to halfway. When I gave up last time, I thought it was that I'd reached about a quarter of the way. You know, there's no scale on the map, so that's one thing I couldn't actually measure. But you know, all I can think is, like, I was so exhausted, and it just goes to show how, like, exhaustion can just mess with your brain. But yeah, anyway, so let's say in between, so I'm a third of the way there. So I've been on the trail for 2 hours. What is it? It's almost 1 o'clock. Yeah, so even if I had to hike for 4 hours, then I'd be where I want to stop for the night by 5, and that's good. Yeah, what else? I readjusted my pack, had a drink of water. Definitely needed the water. And I had some camera equipment strapped to the top, and it was sliding to the other side. I'm gonna get walking. It was sliding to the other side, and yeah, that was not good, so I just took it off, and I've got it strapped to the back now. Not ideal because it puts more weight, you know, backwards. I don't want to be walking hunched forward, but for now it's the best I can do. I'll see what I can do later on, you know, for the hike out, if I can position it better, and for future hikes as well. I definitely don't want to have a pack larger than 65 liters. I was looking at some that were, you know, 70, 75, and I thought, geez, you know, it's like camera gear is heavy regardless. So the larger the pack, the more tempted I'm going to be to fill it with other gear. So yeah, so what's in my pack? I've got a 65 liter pack. Seems like a lot for overnight, and probably is, but really there's not a whole lot in there. I've got my 4-season tent. It's a 2-person tent. I could use a 1-person, but you know, I've got a 2-person. I'm not going to invest in a 1-person tent. I've got a sleeping bag. Takes up most of the spot, or most of the space. It's goes down to -15 for this time of year. It'll probably go down to 0 tonight, so that keeps me cozy. I've got an air mat. You know, it's quite small as well. I've got an extra t-shirt, extra pair of socks in case my feet got soaked. I packed some rope along because there's a lot of steep sections of the trail, and I didn't want to get to where I'm supposed to spend the night and find out that, you know, I can't get down to it because of a hill. So I brought some rope along. Definitely don't want to climb down and not be able to climb back up. I've got my Boreal 21 bow saw in case I need it to cut any deadwood for firewood. I've got my small axe, not hatchet, it's axe. It's a compromise between a hatchet and a full-size axe. And right now, a lot of you are thinking that is overkill on its own. The thing is, a recommendation for when traveling in bear country is to carry a long-handled axe. This is bear country. In fact, often there's cautions in this section of trail, you know, that there is a bear. Caution, bear. So, yeah, so I also have bear spray. Made it. And that feels pretty good. I guess next I should figure out where I'm going to set up my tent and camp tonight. Then I can relax. quite incredible. Well, I guess this is the designated camping area. There's quite a large fire pit behind me. Yeah, it looks like it's, people have been building, adding to it for years. I'm not too sure why it's so large, but it'll do. It's not really any decent spot to set up a tent, but again, I'll make do. There's one spot that's kind of flat, but the issue is that I'm downhill and all the snow is melting, so it's quite damp. It's very shaded. Like even where there isn't snow, there's some snow. So, whatever. That's the time of year, so it's fine. Yeah, I think I'm gonna gather up some firewood, and it's gonna take me a little while. I don't want to take it all from one spot, and I want to find stuff that's already down. Do a bit of beach combing, and yeah, once that's done, I'll set up my tent. Okay, well, I've got a little bit of firewood. I've got the tinder that I gathered before from the last time I was out. I kept that, so I still have that to start it up. Got a half decent amount of kindling, and then I've got enough wood to probably last, I would say, 2 hours. So, so right now I've got enough to get dinner going and have a little fire after dinner. So I'm gonna gather up some more. Some of it's really wet, so it's not gonna burn very good. It's gonna be more like smoke, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the tent set up now anyway. Okay, so I typically pack my tent down at the bottom of my backpack. The reason is because, like, when you set it down, if it gets wet or whatever, I'd rather have my tent get wet than, my sleeping bag or anything else. So I always put the tent down at the bottom as well as my tarp. So what I've packed is, I've got a 4-season tent. It's a 2-person 4-season tent. And it's the Eureka 2XT, I think it's called. Alpenlight 2XT. And then I've got a 3x3 meter sil nylon tarp. This is from a Canadian company, AquaQuest. They're from out on the west coast. So quite good products, and yeah, I guess a bit of a shout out to them. Good products, and Canadian company. So it's nice to buy from a company in North America, that's for sure. So I'm going to use the the tarp as a ground sheet today. The Alpenlight is probably good enough. It's a 4-season tent, so it's got, you know, pretty good bottom to it, but still it's really damp. Like the, you know, the melt off from the snow is like crazy. So where I'm going to set up the tent, you know, it's where the camera is right now. It's yeah, it's really damp, you know, underneath here in the cedars. It's just, you know, it's basically mud. So I'm going to put the tarp down as a ground sheet and then lay my tent on top. Okay, well, tent set up, got a little bit of firewood. Need to get some more firewood. I'm gonna do that quickly, and then I'm gonna take a minute and just enjoy the scenery that I hiked in to see. So if I was asked why do I do this, I think I'd have to say that it's because getting out, you know, into the wilderness, you know, it's, like, I want to say it's who I am, you know, like I've, you know, often describe myself as a canoe builder and outdoorsman. You know, a canoe builder, I've been building canoes for about 10 years or so, but I wouldn't really define myself as that. I just simply have knowledge of building canoes, you know, and build, you know, 1 or 2 canoes a year. So I'm a canoe builder. Outdoorsman, I don't know a better term for it. You know, I'm an outdoors guy. That's who I am, and, you know, that's like my passion in life, is just to spend time out here. But more so, it's now it's about getting out and trying to capture some of that with a camera, you know, and put it together in, you know, short films and videos, you know, and even a little bit of photography, or although my preference is definitely, you know, the video format. So yeah, I'm gonna take the next little while, half an hour or hour, and just try to, you know, do some of that video. The reason why I hiked out here. You see, the thing is, what I find is that, and it's no surprise, but being out in nature enriches the soul. But when I look through a lens, I'm forced to look closely and focus on, you know, the fine details, and look for, you know, beauty inside something that's already beautiful. So yeah, that does it for me. So I'm just letting a good bed of hot coals build up in there. Earlier I brought a rock up and set it in there, and I also brought this flat one up, which I'm going to use as basically a hot plate later on. So I did bring a mess kit along. I've got, my pots, stainless steel pots. That's to warm up or cook the freeze-dried chicken and rice that I brought. What I've done is bought a packet, just that you can get it. This one's a Mountain House chicken and rice, and then I just divided it. So I measured it out, so it's half the amount. I don't want to just live off of freeze-dried food, so I also brought some steak, and basically I just got to cut a steak and then sliced it up a bit, threw it in a Ziploc bag, and put some marinade in there. So it's been marinating all day, well, since last night actually. What I tend to do is with my meat, usually, depending on the day and the weather and everything, but usually I'll put it in like a freezer bag, put some marinade or seasoning in there, and then throw it in the freezer. Let it freeze up, and then it stays good and cold, for the hike or whatever. Even in the summer, it tends to be good. I wouldn't try, chicken or pork, I don't think, but yeah, it works really good with beef. So yeah, I've even brought a pot roast along a few times. So yeah, so I'm just letting this bed of coals build up, and then we'll get dinner going. Well, dinner's worked out pretty good, and time for this. So yeah, so I decided to give the steak on a rock a try. I realized that I was surrounded by rocks, and that likely I would be able to find another flat rock to try on the fire. So yeah, that worked out good. And after taking the steak off, about like 2 seconds after taking the steak off, my rock cracked. So yeah, so good timing. But I tried something else. So those of you that watch my YouTube videos, you probably saw the video where I tried cooking bannock in a loom. You probably saw the video where I tried cooking bannock and used parchment paper. So listen, if anybody knows any reason why I shouldn't do what I did, please let me know. I haven't done my research. I don't know if parchment paper is poisonous or anything like that. I don't think it would be. We cooked all kinds of things on it. But basically what I did was I lined my small pot with the parchment paper, and then I added my dehydrated chicken and rice into the pot on top of the parchment paper, and then the boiling water on top of that. So, you know, I was gentle when I stirred it to make sure that I didn't tear the paper or anything like that. And yeah, it looks like everything worked out good. So then I just threw the steak on top and came out here for dinner. But yeah, from what I can see, it's going to be super easy to clean up afterwards. That I'll just be able to basically pull out this paper and throw it in the fire. So yeah, so you can see, but basically that's what it looks like right now. Steak on top of chicken and rice. So yeah, dinner time. The moon's coming up too. Well, last night was peaceful, uneventful, and yeah, relatively quiet aside from a little bit of noise from the waves. I discovered halfway through the night that I'd put the tent on a slight hill. Well, it's on a hill regardless, but yeah, halfway through the night I found that my head was sliding into the door of the tent, but that's alright. I didn't bother swinging myself around, so it wasn't too bad, but yeah, still a bit tired. You know, I did wake up a few times through the night, but overall pretty good. Beautiful morning. Anyhow, I'm gonna make some coffee and pack up and get out of here. So yeah, if you haven't already subscribed, please do, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment, and thanks for watching.